Global View podcast. Today's episode will be focused on ocean preservation with an exclusive interview with Rebecca Aguilar. To start off, could you please introduce yourself and feel free to include information about your background and position?
Yeah, so my name is Rebecca Aguilar. I'm the marketing director at the Oceanic Preservation Society. And I've been working for about 10 years, kind of in the environmental outdoor space, mostly in marketing and production. And I've worked mainly in the Bay Area. I started out at GoPro on their cause team. So they used to make small impact films to raise awareness about what different environmental nonprofits are doing. And then since then, I've worked with a couple different agencies and startups kind of in the production outdoor environmental space. And I've just been with OPS, as I'll call it from here on out, but OPS for the last 2 years as the marketing director. So, yeah.
What is the biggest obstacle the Ocean Preservation Society faces in pursuit of ocean pollution awareness?
So I'd probably say the biggest issue is kind of the disconnect. There's a funny saying that my friend mentioned. If you're standing in your backyard, you'll say, "Oh, it looks okay from here," right? So a lot of people don't live near the ocean. They don't have, they can't walk down the street and visit a beach and clean it up. And so I think that there's a general idea that yes, the ocean is polluted, but because people don't really see it, as much storytelling as we try and do, and as much awareness as we try to raise, it's hard. There's kind of a cognitive dissonance associated with it, and it's hard for people to see it as a tangible issue. And also, I think additionally, people don't really realize how ocean pollution can actually directly affect them. So really making that connection and tying it back to it actually does have an impact on your health and on your life is important. And that's one of our goals as an org.
In what ways does your organization combine different forms of media, such as documentaries, to help prevent ocean pollution?
So we've never had a documentary specifically on ocean pollution. Actually, OPS was started back in 2014 by Luis Cehoyos, who's our director and CEO. And he started with the film The Cove, which was about dolphin slaughter in Taiji. And since then, he's made a myriad of different documentaries. Many of them have been two of them were most recently on Netflix. One was called The Game Changers, about a plant-based diet on elite athletes' performance. And last January, we came out with on Netflix, You Are What You Eat, which was a Stanford study following twins and comparing an omnivore and a vegan diet. And so we are working on a film and it'll be out in the next year or so. And it is about the effects of microplastics on human health. So that film that we're working on most directly ties to, putting a spotlight on the plastic problem directly as it correlates with human health. So documentary-wise, we haven't done any feature films. However, through all of our social media channels and through our newsletters, we raise awareness almost every single day about how pollution is affecting the oceans, about what people can do about it, what brands are tackling the problem, we have about 1.6 million followers, so we have a pretty big audience on there to help kind of put a spotlight on what's going on.
What does OPS hope to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years?
Mostly it's on education. I mean, our Louis likes to say, he has a quote, and it's, through impact filmmaking, we like to create tipping points of social change. And essentially it boils down to educating people and highlighting the importance that the choices you make in your everyday life, whether it's diet or what you're buying, every day you vote with your dollars, and how we vote actually makes a difference. Either you choose to vote for something in a business that is, helping protect the environment and biodiversity, or you're voting, to support businesses that are degrading the environment. And that also, pertains to what you put in your body and what you choose to eat. We really want to educate people on what they, choose to surround themselves and feed themselves, how it makes a difference on a global scale.
Why is ocean pollution more prevalent now than ever before?
So honestly, a lot of it comes down to convenience, right? When you click on something and you want it delivered to your doorstep in the next 24 hours, I mean, that has an impact downstream, a myriad of ways. Industries are popping up in many, places that have economic hardship around the world. And there's a lot of pollution that happens in these small regions. It affects the the biodiversity in those regions. And then you have to take shipping into consideration as well. All these products are made overseas, they're put on ships, and then you have ships, that are traveling hundreds and hundreds of miles every single day. Some of them have oil spills, which obviously cause catastrophic damage. Other ones will spill the contents of the ship, which can have microplastics or tiny little plastic pellets in them. Not to mention all the waste that they're constantly dumping at sea, or the fuel, right? That's contributing to climate change. So rapid industrialization, I'd say, is one of the big factors. And as every single economy grows, economies gain wealth. And so, people that might not have been able to afford fish or meat or, seafood previously now can, and they want to be able to purchase it. And so where there is demand, there will be supply. And so we see massive overfishing, and some people turn to, okay, well, let's start doing aquaculture, right? Farmed fishing. And many people think that that's a solution, but at the end of the day, it also has a lot of drastic and negative impacts. So yeah, I mean, I'd say just population growth is really the main reason as to why our oceans are at such risk in this day and age, and overconsumption.
What are some ways the average person can promote ocean cleanliness?
Smart purchases is one of the most important one. Honestly, it's small, but it's powerful. And then your diet, and then honestly, cleaning up your own backyard. It's so funny. Like, I think even before I got into this work, I didn't realize how important it is. Even though I live in San Francisco, right? I might not think that cleaning up a city street there, or when I lived in the suburbs, cleaning up, my own neighborhood would really matter. But when you think about it, when a storm happens, where does the water go? It goes into our creeks, into our rivers, and eventually out to our ocean through our watershed. And so people kind of like make the assumption, well, if I don't live near a beach, I'm really not helping, but you really are, and you can make a very big impact on an individual level. And then what you just decide to buy. I mean, are you buying clothing that is made out of synthetics, right? Which a lot of people don't realize, but their athletic clothing is made from synthetics, and those microplastics shed in your dryer and they get into the water stream. Or what are you choosing to eat, right? If you're constantly eating seafood, even farmed seafood, like it really doesn't help. So trying to shift to a more plant-based diet, it makes a really, really big difference. Animal agriculture, not only in the ocean but on land, it's the leading cause of climate change. So just being a bit more conscious and doing what you can. Like, no one's perfect, and we're all just trying to do the best we can. So, just taking a little bit of control of just educating yourself a bit more, and when you decide to buy something, just thinking like, should I look into this, or should I research, is this a purchase that will help or hurt the planet? So just doing the best you can in that arena.
What is OPS's biggest recent accomplishment?
On January 1st, we just released You Are What You Eat. It was on the Netflix top 10 list for a few weeks, and it was seen by millions and millions of people across the globe. So we're really, really proud of that work. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it.
Yeah, I did see it. It was really
Oh,
good.
good. Awesome. Yeah.
How does ocean pollution impact local ecosystems?
Um, so when you say local ecosystems, I'll kind of touch on a couple different topics, but um, actually an interesting article I read and a story I read is, so a lot of people don't know what fish meal is, but fish meal is what is fed to farmed fish. So for a salmon to get to like market size, they need to be fed this fish meal over however long it takes for them to grow, right? And these fish meal plants are built up in different regions, but there are many that have been put in West Africa in small little fishing villages. And these fishing villages have relied on the local fish there for the last 100 years or so. They go sell it to the surrounding towns, this and that. And these plant fish meal farms will come in and they say, oh, we'll fix your schools, we'll build some roads, we'll, help build hospitals, this and that, right? And then I say, we'll give you guys jobs and we'll basically help your small community. And what they do is they basically build the fish meal plant. They go and devastate kind of the local ocean there, and they do bottom trawling, and they remove essentially all the fish from that local economy, or sorry, from that local ecosystem. And then, they put these fish meal plants right next to the ocean. They then pollute back into the ocean. So now not only are there no fish, but now it's polluted. And also, the wages that these people are making at these fish meal plants, I mean, it's essentially slave labor. And they don't build the schools, and they don't help the town. And then the worst part about all of it is the few fishermen that are left in these small towns will want to still sell their fish, right, to the neighboring towns. They'll go outprice them in the neighboring towns on their own fish. And so this is a very small example. But for local ecosystems, you can see, right, just one little thing that maybe the general public is like, oh, farm fishing is good, right? We're not taking wild fish. Well, okay, to feed those farm fish, you need millions of other small fish. And these are the kinds of nuanced things that go on that really impact local communities around the world. Outside of that, though, I mean, oil spills can devastate local ecosystems. All of the plastics that are also in our ocean with the salt water and waves and the wind, I mean, they turn into microplastics pretty quickly. And those microplastics and nanoplastics are ingested, and they exist in the tissue of the smallest microorganisms in the water. And then obviously you have, marine life at the bigger part of the food chain eating those small organisms. And so almost all the fish that we are consuming these days, and, fish that local small, ecosystem, basically every fish in the ocean, they have these microplastics in it. And so it's affecting our health. And that's kind of what our documentary delves into a bit. But yeah. And then you have fishing entanglement. So you have to consider every single time that you buy and eat a fish, there are many other marine species that were caught and killed or thrown back and maimed just for catching that one fish, right? So it's not just the fish you eat, but it's kind of the byproducts that come along with that fish as well. So yeah.
That was the last question I have prepared, but do you have any other concluding statements that you want to make?
If you want to learn a little bit more, just follow our Instagram channel. We post almost every single day, and really just mainly we try to educate people about ocean pollution. So yeah. Thank you for listening to the Global View podcast, and come back next week for a new episode.